This episode of the Fairway to Retail Success is brought to you by AGM vendor partner T-Commerce, the online retail solution for golf facilities. T-Commerce helps merchandisers and golf professionals expand sales beyond the physical shop and fill merchandising gaps. Give your members and customers the convenience of shopping online 24/7, all with no extra inventory risk or additional work for your staff. Visit tcommerce.shop to learn how easy it is to take your shop online. Now, back to today's episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fairway to Retail Success in AGM podcast. I'm your host, Justine Cook. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Ryan Austad, President and CEO of Austad's Golf, one of the oldest family-owned golf retail businesses in the country. Ryan quite literally grew up in the golf business, and those early experiences sparked a lifelong passion for golf and retail. After a 7-year detour as a management consultant, Ryan returned to Ostad's, bringing fresh perspectives while honoring the family business legacy. In this episode, we'll dive into Ryan's journey from childhood in the warehouse to leading one of the most respected off-course golf retailers in the country. We'll explore his approach to team culture, customer experience, merchandising, and how he balances tradition with innovation in today's evolving golf retail landscape. Ryan, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. That was quite the welcome. I hope I live up to it. Those
Uh,
sound like wonderful things.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I know I mentioned that you quite literally grew up around golf retail. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how did those early experiences shape your approach to retail and customer experience today as an adult in the golf industry?
Yeah, thank you, Justina. My childhood it seemed like was always around the sport of golf. So my birthday parties growing up, me and my buddies would go to our warehouse. At that time, we had about a 100,000 square foot warehouse, and we'd bring our rollerblades and our Nerf guns, and we'd play cops and robbers in this massive warehouse. And I'd like to tell the story. My dad would put us in the big club boxes, and we'd ride the conveyor belt all around the exterior of the warehouse, which I'm sure OSHA would have approved. So that was my childhood. And when I wasn't in the warehouse, I'd go visit the stores. And I remember just going into the stores and thinking, what a kid's paradise this is. There's putting greens, there's hitting bays, all the new product is out. In the 1980s, we brought in our first golf simulator, which looking back, it was awful by today's standards, right? But I thought, how cool is this? It's the world's largest video game and it's at my dad's office. So, like, how great is this? And I think of that childhood and the emotions that I had when I would come visit Austed's. And today we talk about those emotions with our teams. Like, how do we create that emotion for our customers when they come into one of our stores? How do we create that level of excitement and anticipation for the experience that they're about to have? And so, yeah, when I look back on it, I just have all these positive feelings and emotions. And whether it's consciously or subconsciously, those are the things that inform the emotional connections that we strive to create with our customers today.
Mhm. Very cool. And hopefully some of those customers, they might be bringing their children in to the store and they're seeing
Yes,
simulators and wow, all these cool things. That's super
exactly.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah. Love how golf crosses the generations without a doubt.
it certainly does.
So I know you spent some time away from golf as a management consultant. What lessons did you then bring back that have influenced how you now lead Ostad's and approach to off-course retail? So kind of what did you learn outside of golf and coming back? What was that like?
I learned a great deal. I think I learned more in that time as a management consultant. So I was working with Fortune 1000 companies on these very nuanced and complex problems and opportunities. And I think I learned more in that 7 years than certainly I learned in college and grad school. And I certainly learned a lot growing up in the golf business, but that was just sometimes you have to get out of your norm to really
Hmm.
push yourself and look through a different lens. And I certainly had to do that in that work. But the biggest thing I learned in talking with a lot of these companies is you have to have a really good understanding of who your company is and what you sell. And that sounds really simple, but you look at Osted's Golf. So we're a chain of golf retail stores. Almost every product that we sell in our stores, you can find right now online somewhere else. You can find it in a big box retail store. You can find it in another specialty golf retail store. You can actually buy it directly from the same manufacturers that I buy them from, right? So you can go to Callaway.com or TaylorMade.com and you can buy it direct. So strategically, if I think as the leader of Osted's, we sell golf product, I'm in a pretty weak position. We talk a lot at Austed's about how we're not in the golf business. We are in the people business. What we sell is not golf product. What we sell is a relationship that allows us to get to know you. And through that knowledge, we can create an experience and use our expertise to actually get you product that's going to help you play better and have more fun. That's our mission, to help people play better and have more fun. So when you kind of think of it that way, that's the product we sell, those relationships, that knowledge, and being able to help people play better and have more fun. Now you're in a position where you can differentiate and have long term success. And I think that's what my time away taught me, because if anybody thinks they're getting into this business and they're a product company, at least if they're doing what we're doing, I don't know that they're going to be around 63 years like we've been.
Mhm.
It's going to take a lot more than that because you've got competition coming from every angle.
Definitely. It's all about the people and the relationships, especially as, folks like Amazon and the big box retailers and all that. And I always think it's cool when you see someone leave maybe a employer they've been at for a long time or started out at, go out and get experience and then come back. I've seen that a couple times on the private club side of merchandisers and golf professionals. They go somewhere else, they get a different experience, and then they come back to their home. So I think that's really cool and special when that happens. And golf is such a welcoming place that I think folks encourage going and getting other experience too.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had that a lot over the years. We joke around about it that nobody leaves Osted's permanently, right? They end up coming back, whether that's because of the industry, the culture, or some
Yeah.
combination of the two. We don't care. We love it. In
Hmm.
fact, I had this conversation with one of our managers this morning who just had an amazing opportunity outside of the golf business presented to him. And I called him and I just told him how proud I was of him. I said, "There's no bigger cheerleader for you than me. If you ever need anything, please call me. And we're here if you ever want to be in golf." I wish him nothing but the best, but we may see him again someday. We
Right.
don't.
Sure. Absolutely. Very cool. So you touched on that Ostad's is a been around for a long time. It's one of the oldest family-owned golf businesses in the country. How do you today in 2026 balance honoring that long-standing legacy with keeping your retail stores fresh and approachable and relevant to today's consumers and golfers who have a lot of options?
We say things like we are on Osted's 10.0, and we talk about that as a
Ah.
team. 10.0 meaning over 63 years, we've really been 10 different companies. My grandfather started our business as a cataloger. We were the world's
Oh, wow.
first golf catalog in the 1960s when Jack and Arnie were duking it out on tour. And then we evolved into kind of a big market, large footprint retailer. We were in Chicago, Minneapolis, places like that. We evolved into a big e-com player at one point in the
Yeah.
early 2000s. Today, we're a chain of golf retail stores in mostly mid-major markets, places like Omaha and Sioux Falls and Des Moines. And we're a medium-sized footprint that's specialty golf retail that is laser focused on services and fitting. That is really where we hold our hat and what we're laser focused on. We're probably more afraid not to change than we are to change, because we recognize to grow, you have to change. And certainly, I'm third generation. So if I want this thing to go to the fourth and fifth and sixth generation, I understand how we look today is ought not be how we look in 10 or 15, 20 years. So we talk about that and we get excited by change, because I don't think there's any limit to our potential as we evolve and we adapt. As to how we try to not lose some of our heritage, I'm really proud of our leadership team who has defined our mission as a company, what our vision is, so aspirationally, who we want to be, and then our core values we call our caddy mentality. And so we have 7 core values, and every decision we make is based on those 3 things. And we empower our managers to make decisions in real time as long as it aligns with our mission, our vision, and our values. And I think that's how we remain or honor some of that heritage that's been around now for 63 years, is remaining true to who we are while understanding, boy, you better be trying to innovate new ways to serve your customers or you won't be doing it in 10 years.
I love that caddy mentality. That's a fun name for it.
That's a good analogy for what we try to do. We are there to serve the people that come in. We're there to give advice when we need to give advice. We're there to carry the bag. There's
Mhm.
no detail that's too small for us. We will take care of it. We'll carry your clubs to the car. Whatever it needs to be done, we will do. And so that's, yeah, we're proud of that. And we certainly hope to live it out every day.
Absolutely. And I didn't know you all started as a catalog. That's very cool as well. A very, like you said, you've been 10 different businesses. That's a very cool starting point to think about for sure.
If you're ever really bored on a weekend night, go to eBay and type in
Okay.
Austed's Golf, and you will see products from the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s that my grandfather and father would source from China or wherever it might be. And it was all private label.
Oh,
Back
wow.
then, Callaway TaylorMade didn't exist. Ping was in the 50s, but it's fun to go on eBay and just to look
Mhm.
at all this stuff that's still out there with our name on it. And you can see how much things have changed in the last 6 decades.
Very cool. I'll have to check that out. So, building off that, when it comes to building a team culture, I know you all are a family business. You mentioned that you're a third generation, which is so cool in golf. But how do you approach building a team culture with your other team members, colleagues that reflects both that family business roots and the modern golf retail environment?
Yeah, so culture is the hardest thing to create, but it's also the hardest thing to copy or mimic. And it can be really a competitive differentiator. And we're not perfect in that area, and we work on it every single day, but we have been very intentional with our culture. So it started with really defining, like I said earlier, our mission, which is to help people play better and have more fun. Our vision, we talk about, my staff probably gets tired of me saying it, but it's to be the most personal, immersive, and experiential golf company on the
Mhm.
planet. Again, you're empowered as our team to go live that out. That's who we're trying
Mhm.
to be. And then those values. And so once you define those three things, we embed it into everything we do. So it's part of our application process. If you're applying for a job with Osteds, you're going to see some of those things in the job writing. We actually ask interview questions to understand how closely you might or might not align with our values or what we strive to uphold. We recognize people based on those things. We reward, we compensate based on those things. We actually have customer surveys that ask our customers if they're seeing our team embodying those values, our mission, and our vision. So we try to integrate it into everything we do so that we have a consistent high performance culture. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's something that I've been really proud that our leadership team is really aligned on and focused on,
Mhm.
because at the end of the day, I think people don't necessarily over the long term buy the products you sell, they buy why you sell the product. And if they can understand our why, which is our mission, we feel like we have a pretty good chance of being their friend for life and having them come shop with us for their life.
For sure, for sure. And how many store locations do you all currently have, just to help our listeners understand a little bit of the company more?
Yeah, so we have 11 locations in a 5 state region. So we're based out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and really 5.5 hours in any direction in a circle is where we have
Wow.
stores. Culturally, we've talked about, do we ever expand outside of that again? When we
Mm,
were sending catalogs, we were sending them to countries all over the world. We love that we are within 5.5 hours of our central point in Sioux Falls. And I'll give you an example. About 4 years ago, a derecho went through eastern Iowa, and it literally blew the roof out of off of our Cedar Rapids store. I was able to jump in my car the minute that happened, and 5.5 hours later, I was with our team with the sun shining into our store because we had no roof. And one way we're able to maintain culture is to geographically not grow
mm,
outside of that reach. And we can really focus on pouring into one another and kind of limiting the scope of
mm.
how many people are within the organization.
Sure, sure. That's very cool. I like the idea of 5.5 hours from your center. That's pretty
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So, in off-course golf retail, how folks engage with customers can look very different than in a more private club or traditional sort of country club facility. What have you all found in your retail locations most effective for connecting with golfers and creating that memorable shopping experience off course for them?
Yeah, the core of what we do is trying to create experiences, immerse them in the sport of golf and create experiences. And there's a book written, and we use this term a lot internally. It's called unreasonable hospitality. Unreasonable hospitality. And we've defined for our team what that is, and we empower them to go do it. And we give them a budget to go do it. The whole idea of unreasonable hospitality is to create an experience that's so far outside of what you expect of a retailer that you can't help but go tell your foursome and probably five other people, right? It should just be something that is so far outside of anything that you would come to expect from any retailer. So they can be small things, handwritten thank you notes after a small sale, or maybe
Mm.
maybe somebody brings in their child and they buy them their first junior set. That's a cool moment for a parent. So it can be as small as a thank you note that just says, "Hey, I hope you and your son have as much fun as my son and I have had on the course," something like that. Small things like carrying their clubs out to their car for them. They could be big things. We've done some fun events where somebody will book a fitting, and when they book their fitting, they say something like, "My husband is giving this to me for my birthday." So the
Mm.
staff will go out and buy him a birthday cake with her name on it, and on the simulator screen when they show up, it'll say, "Happy birthday, Justine,"
Uh,
and then the whole staff will gather around and sing "Happy birthday." Right? Not that really costs us very much. It certainly doesn't, but it's something that she's probably going to go tell the people at work or tell her foursome. You wouldn't believe what Austed's did for my fitting. And so, unreasonable hospitality is what we strive to create so that people feel motivated to keep coming back and maybe get off their computers and not just click twice on Amazon or wherever it might be, but to come see their friends down the road at Austed's.
Absolutely. It really seems like that fun family environment.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we probably spend more time together working together than you spend with your family during the week. So we're a
Sure.
family business and we try to extend that feeling of family to our staff. And if you know the Austin family, we joke around with each other. We like to give each other a lot of crap. We're not super serious. We don't take ourselves serious. We give
Mm.
ourselves more crap than we give anyone else. But that sort of environment seems to be what our staff enjoys and keeps them around. In fact, today we're celebrating 40 years with one of our managers here in Sioux Falls. So it's a
Oh,
special day for
wow.
us today.
Oh, how special. That's a really special anniversary. Very cool.
Yeah.
So I know you've talked about running Ostads with a generation to generation mindset rather than thinking quarter to quarter, which I think is so cool to think about it, particularly since you're third generation, thinking about it generationally. How
Mhm.
does having that really long-term perspective shape your decisions, whether in merchandising, developing your team, the customer experience, kind of having that truly big picture, long way down the road look at the operation and probably also looking back at your
Yeah.
the generations before you.
Yeah, I think a lot about that. I think it gives us the flexibility to try things and fail without fear of
Mm.
repercussions or ramifications. So in fact, we tell our buyers this, where we tell them, hey, if you don't fail at least a handful of new products this year, we're not trying hard enough. My mantra is, if you're going to fail fast and fail cheap, so let's try. But once we see it's not working, fail fast and fail cheap. And then when we nail it, we're going to nail it and scale it. So that's kind of what spoke out into the Austad ethos to try to accomplish, is either fail fast and fail cheap or nail it and scale it. Probably the best example, I think it was at 2007 when Travis Matthew started. So they had called us. Nobody knew this. It was like this little surfer brand in Southern California. Nobody knew the name. We operate in South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, North Dakota, right? So you're not thinking big surfing country, right? But it was this West Coast kind of cool, chic brand. And they're like, hey, if you commit to this, we'll bring these buses in. Or if you remember the VW buses where they're displays. And so we took a shot, right? We weren't afraid to fail. And Travis Matthews still today is our number one men's apparel brand. And we were really proud that we were one of the first in the country to bring them in and grow alongside them. I think when you think generation to generation, you have less fear of saying, hey, we're going to miss our number this quarter. And what does that mean for me? Or how smart do I then look?
That's a good way of thinking about it, definitely.
You know?
And also looking ahead, golf retail is changing. It's very different than it was even 5 years ago. What changes or trends do you see as the most exciting? What things maybe you saw at the PGA show or emerging vendor partners or just changes coming to the golf retail industry?
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever been more excited than I am now. And I think it's this blend between technology, experiences, and personalization. I think it's those three things that are going to allow, if we do it right, allow retailers like Osted's to have success for the foreseeable future. particularly in the simulator space, that is a huge growth arm for us. And the software development in that space is really cool, is specifically when you start to look at AI development. I'm a I'm an 8 handicap golfer, so I'm okay. I'm not great, I'm not bad. I personally don't love going to get lessons from a PGA pro, not because they're not great. PGA, many of them are. I just don't like having somebody watch me while I swing.
Mm.
But now you're starting to see AI swing analysis, and it might
Oh.
not be as good as having a PGA pro standing right there. But when you can have video from all angles and AI saying, gamifying it, and then
Mm.
saying, hey, think about doing these two things, and then you do it and you start to see results. I think that's something that's super exciting. That's going to improve a lot of golfers' lives. I think it's this blend between technology, creating experiences, and then making it personal so that we know Justine's game. We know your name, we know your game, and can actually use that information to help you play better and have more fun. So yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see where this all goes. We're testing
Right.
different things now, but boy, I think the sky's the limit in terms of what we're going to be able to deliver for our customers in not the too distant future.
Very cool. Can't wait to see how that makes its way into simulators and in-store experiences and all that with AI. I think it'll be really cool for sure.
One of the challenges for we take a PGA Superstore, right? They
Mm.
compete on SKUs. They have every SKU under the sun. We're looking at technology right now that's like a magic mirror, right? So we'll
Oh.
stock the 50 or 60% of what we can from a Travis, Adidas, Nike,
Mm.
Melbourne, whoever it is, right? And then you can have the magic mirror, Justine, where you're standing in front of the mirror and you can swipe through the full array, the full catalog from these vendors and see how it looks on you. And then we can place the order right there. So just some such cool technology and experiences that we're going to be able to showcase for people.
That's really cool. I'm just thinking also about what storage space shops have and what selling space they have to not have to make that bigger inventory investment, but someone can see it on them in a magic mirror. So cool.
Yeah, I mean, what happens inevitably when you have a large footprint store is customers can get lost. And that's not a knock on anyone that has a large store, but when you have 20,000, 30, 40, 50,000 square feet, it's hard to cover that space. And
Mm.
so I agree with you that when you can do it in less, if you can do it in 5,000, 6,000, you can make it more personal. And
Mm.
that's a big part of the vision of where we're trying to go is making it personal, immersive, and experiential.
Very cool. What advice would you give to someone perhaps considering a career in off-course golf retail, or maybe just someone in the early stage of their golf retail career?
I don't know if this is specific to golf. This might just be good advice for young people in general, but two things. I'd say number one, your attitude is your altitude. Where we see our folks have the most success is when they show up every day, even if they're not feeling their best, but with a smile on their face, being positive, and really creating fun experiences for not only their customers, but their fellow employees. So I think attitude is number one. And then secondly, I'll copy, this isn't my answer, but I heard John Maxwell speak recently, who's a renowned leadership coach. And he was asked something kind of similar to this about what advice would you give young people? And he said, just start stacking small wins. He talked about how when you're young, you usually don't get the credit you deserve, right? You're working really hard. You're working a lot of hours. You're doing a lot of great things, but maybe your manager or your supervisor is getting the credit. Don't worry about those things. Just keep stacking wins up, and eventually you're going to be a major success. And he talks about how when that happens, everybody thinks you're an overnight success. And that's not true. You never meet somebody that's successful and say, how'd you get here? And they say, I don't know. I just got here today. They've been working at it, stacking those small wins for years and years. It's like the ice that's at 29, you go to 30 degrees, nothing happens. 31 degrees, nothing happens. You get to 32 degrees, something pretty transformational happens and it turns into water. And I think Maxwell's point, which is a poignant one, is you just stack those small wins and eventually you hit that 32 degrees and you're going to be successful. So I think that's what I tell a young person, whether it's in the golf industry or anything, is don't worry who gets the credit. Just start stacking wins every single day and you'll get to where you want to be.
Love it. Very good way to think about it, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
And looking ahead, what's next for Ostads? Are there any new projects or initiatives that you're really excited about for 2026 that we should keep our eyes open for?
it feels like we might have too many of them, but we're doing some renovations in some of the stores. We're
Nice.
considering moving one of the stores, which opens up some really cool opportunities for us. So we're testing some new technology in some of the doors, which I think can be pretty exciting. But I would say that's every year for us. We're always looking at how do we make each individual store better? Do we open a new store? Do we move a store? Do we build a store? How do we make our website better? In fact, my grandfather was Oscar. So this last year, we created an AI chatbot that we call AI Oscar that will
Wow.
answer your questions on Austads.com. So those are really fun projects that get people excited. But I would say, just in general, my excitement is more so focused on our team. And a lot of times when we work in the golf industry, we're only thinking about the customer in front of us, and that's
Mhm.
important. You certainly need to do that. But when you can create a team, a leadership team, and a broader team that abides by your culture, that's when the cap on your potential gets taken off. But you can only accomplish so much as an individual. But if you can have a broader team that is unified, boy, there's a lot that you can accomplish. So I'm really excited for the group we have here, their alignment with our mission, vision, purpose, and values, and I'm excited to see what they do. I kind of get the privilege of just, in some cases, sitting back and watching the amazing work that they do, to be honest.
Very cool. Sounds like a lot of exciting things to look forward to.
Always. Yeah. It doesn't mean there won't be challenges. There'll be bumps, and
Right.
that's okay. I think if you can embrace those bumps, those are opportunities actually to make your team much better and stronger. So embrace the bumps. We certainly will. It's not going to be smooth, but overall, we're pretty excited about where things are going.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ryan. It's been so great getting to chat with you, hear a little bit more about Ostads and all the very cool things that you are doing out there. So, thank you so much for lending some of your time for this conversation.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And thank you to our AGM community for tuning in to another episode of the Fairway to Retail Success. We look forward to having you join us again soon in our next episode. Take care, everyone, and have a great day.